Hello class, I wanted to give you a video where I talk about images and optimizing, resizing images, and then also I'll talk about zip files, creating a zip file for your project. So what I'll do here, let me start and show you what you don't want to do, because that's an easy way to look at it, and then I'll show you how to correct this. So what I have here is a good start. If you look at, you may have to zoom in on this to see what I'm doing here, but it's just the skeleton of an HTML document with an image tag. So you can see the IMG space SRC stands for image source equals, and in quotes, images / gia.jpg. That's the name of my image. Now if I come look at my website, in my folder, here's a folder called First Site. There's my HTML file that I'm showing you right here, and there's my images folder with the JPEG in it. Now let me switch over here to my browser, and let's take a look at this site. And here's what it looks like. Okay, I can scroll down. It's a huge image off a digital camera, and you'd be surprised how many times this is what students turn in. You know, you give me this, you give me a file with a photo directly off a digital camera. For the very first project, the simple, smaller site project, I won't take off points. For anything after that, for any major project, I will take off points if you don't make an effort to optimize, resize your image to fit better your website. So if you go back and you look at this image here, so I'll just click on it. Let me scroll over here. It's 1.3 megabytes. Digital photos directly off your camera, they're usually anywhere from like 1 to 5 megabytes. And that's way too large. You're looking at maybe 50,000 to 100,000 bytes, just 50,000 bytes for an image. That's like 10 times, 15 times smaller. So that's what optimizing is. It's downsizing your photo for the web. Also, it's resizing, because obviously this is too big in terms of pixels, width, and height. So that's the first thing I wanted to cover here. Show you how to do that, and then we'll get into the zip files at the end here. So first of all, if you look at the W3 Schools site, I'm not putting a link here. If you just go to w3schools.com HTML and click on the HTML images, one thing that you want to look at here, GIF images are more like logos, cartoons, solid color artwork. JPEGs are photographs. So if you get a photograph off the web, or you take one or something and it ends up as a GIF format, GIF, that's incorrect for a photograph. Got to make sure that your photos are JPEGs or PNGs. PNG is another format you'll see which is acceptable to use for either GIFs or JPEGs, but you mainly just see the GIFs or JPEGs out there on the web. You'll also see width and height and an alt tag in here. The alt is for a screen reader. If somebody is using that and they can't see the screen, you need to put an alt tag, an alternative tag in there, so that they know what they're looking at. And then the style is the width and height. That's also good practice to put a width and a height in there. So this would be the full tag here if you want to put that in. And you might think, well, I can just put a width and a height in there, in my HTML to resize the image. Well, no, you don't want to do that, because we will still be loading the full size image, just downsizing it in the browser, which is not good practice. It's really not making it any smaller in terms of the file size. It also may not display correctly. But this is the tag that you need for every image from now on. You need an alt in there, and you need your width and height. So let's talk about downsizing that image. So obviously this image is way too large. So you've got a couple choices for downsizing. So let me first talk about using a website if you do not have an image editing program. And I'll talk about that in a second. Let's say you have Photoshop or Fireworks or Paint Shop Pro, you can use one of those programs. But if you don't have a software program, there are websites that will help you do this as well. So let me show you that first, and then I'll show you Photoshop. So if I'm at Google, I typed in free photo optimization and resizing. The one that I thought looked the best is the third one down. It's called webresizer.com. So just click on that one. Here's what it looks like. And you can resize and optimize at the same time. You can even do some basic adjusting like contrast, brightness, all of that. So let me do resize photos here, and I'm going to choose an image. So I'm going to choose my file right here, and there it is. Choose it. upload image. Try this on your own. There's not much to it really. Let me upload it, and it's going to show me my photo. So there it is. So it shows me the optimized image and the original image. It also shows me the size. So you can see that this was really large to begin with, and it's taking it 98% smaller. Now that's a little bit small, so maybe I would rather the size be about, let's say 600 wide. Let's do 600 wide, and you can take your sharpness and image quality up if you want a little bit. Apply changes, and there's the new size, so it shows you the actual size right there. So let's say that we like that one and we want to go ahead and save this one, so this one right here. So I'll go ahead and click download this image. Also make a note of the size. It's 600 wide by 400 pixels high. Okay, so download this image, and then so that downloaded it actually into my downloads, and I want to put that file into my website folder. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do that. So obviously I'm on Macintosh computer here, and it's going to work a little bit differently if you're on a Windows, but in general the steps are going to be the same. It's just that you're going to be looking in different places to find all of your files. Now you're probably going to have a downloads folder where your images go. If you are going to use this website, you click download image, download this image. You have to be able to find that. Obviously that probably goes without saying. In my case, here's where it went. It went to a folder called downloads. It makes sense. And you can see the first one is called GIA_OPT for the optimizing.jpg. What I want to do is I want to just take that and drag it into my website folder. So here's my site, and then here my downloads, drag and drop right on images, and there it is. So this is the one I want to link to now, or if I wanted to delete the original and just rename it to GIA.jpg, I could do that. I'll just rename it in the HTML file. So I also need to put in my width and height. Okay, so if I go back here, I actually had already changed the name of it. So now it says GIA_OPT.jpg. And then if I want to put in the rest of that tag so that I can be correct and best practice, I'll go back to W3 Schools. Let me highlight everything after the JPG. Let me come back to Text Wrangler here. One space, paste that in, and then in the alt tag I'll put VW Carmen Ghia. This is my old restoration project. It needs a lot of work. And then the width and height, you need to remember what you put for that in the website. So if you remember, for this example I put 600 for the width and 400 for the height. It's essential that you get that right, or it's going to be distorted. Now let me do a file save. Go back to Safari and refresh, and you can see that it fits in there better now. So that's the actual size of it. That's the image. So that's what optimizing and resizing is all about. It's really not much to it, and once you get used to it, that's the steps you'll follow. Now, at some point, if you haven't already looked at it, Photoshop is a program that you need to learn, or Illustrator, depending on what area you are in. But in order to make graphics for the web, you're going to have to get used to some kind of program. You could use Fireworks, which is an older Adobe program. They still make it. Photoshop could use even something like Paint Shop Pro, which is pretty cheap. I think it's only like $50 or $60. Photoshop comes with the Creative Cloud. That's why I demonstrate with that. But if you want to do this on your own with Photoshop, let me just open that up really fast, and you can check this out. Here's Photoshop. Let me downsize this so you can see it a little. Just do a file open. I'm going to choose the original file right here. So I'll choose GIA.jpg. That's the large one, like the one off the digital camera. And you can see that it's huge. It's being displayed in 16.7% of its original size. So you can do anything you want here. You could crop it. You could go into your filters, change the look of it, sharpen it, stylize. You could go to image adjustments, change the brightness, contrast, obviously anything you want to do here in Photoshop. What I'll do is image and image size. Okay, and I'll go ahead and check the resolution on your photos as well. For the web, you want 72. For print, you're looking at 300. I'm going to change the width to pixels because we're used to working with pixels for screen sizes. As we get into the websites, I'll talk more about that, but for right now, Just start thinking in terms of dots or pixels. So we'd say 600 by 400. Click OK, and might have to go to View. We'll just do 100%. There's the new image. Okay, and I'll do a File, and underneath File, you can see Export, and then you can do an Save for Web right here, or you could do Export as, however you want to do it. I'll just do a Save for Web in this particular case. So Save for Web, and then you can check this window out. This is the window that helps you optimize right here. I can't quite fit it in. I can't get the corners to drag in, but down at the bottom there's a save. It's just off the screen right here. What you can do though is for the quality, you can drop this down or increase it if you want. Notice that the quality at 73 only makes for a 54K image, and it still looks really nice right here. So then I could just go ahead and save that. And that's all there is to resizing and optimizing in Photoshop. So you're going to need to pick one of those options. If I go back here to the web, to this web resizer, for your major projects that I'll start posting soon, you need to make sure that you do not include a digital photo directly off of a camera that takes up your entire website and is too large. That's something that I will take off points for. If I look at your website folder and I see 2 or 3 photos that are 3, 4, 5 megabytes, that tells me that you did not go through these steps and it's too large for your site. So that's all I can really think of here for getting started on optimizing, resizing your photos. Just the things you want to remember here with your website. Most of the time you are going to start out with a photo that's too big for your site, and you do want to start thinking about your screen size in terms of pixels. For example, if you're designing for a monitor, an iMac or just a regular monitor, those do have sizes. They have a resolution. Let's say they're 1024 by 768. That's kind of a standard older resolution, but that's what a lot of websites target. So that means if you had a photo that was more than 1,000 pixels wide, it's going to be too large. It's going to take up the whole screen. We will talk about responsive design that allows you to scale your sites to different size platforms. But for right now, just start thinking about the sizes of your images. You can either optimize with the web resizer that I showed you here or Photoshop. And then don't forget, on the W3 Schools website, HTML images, use this entire tag. So that includes the alt tag and includes the width and the height. Make sure your width and the height matches exactly what the image is. Don't use the width and the height to resize in your browser. You want to resize in a program like Photoshop or the website I showed you. And then back in your HTML, you can add that in there. Now let's talk quickly about creating a zip file. Now if you're on a Macintosh, I'll show you it really quickly. It's really simple. So you're in luck. If you're on a PC, depends on the version of Windows that you're on. Usually it's pretty simple as well. Let me just move the website in here so you can see what I'm doing. Here's what the site is. Get rid of this. So if you can see where my mouse is right here, that's the folder. I just have it on my hard drive. Now with a Macintosh, all you have to do is right click on the folder itself. So right click on the folder itself. Do not open the folder up and right click on anything. That's very important. Right click on it and you'll see, in my case, compress first site. Now if you're on a Windows machine and you are fairly lucky, and when you right click you should get an option to create a zip file or archive folder, something like that. It might say archive, it might say create zip, it might say compress, depending on the version of Windows and what you have installed. You should be able to find something there. So in this case I'll just click it right there and here's what it created. That is the file that I want to attach when I turn in my project, the file you want to attach. That's it. So when I double click this and unpackage it, you can see that there it is. It gives me that. Now if you are on a Windows machine, I'll mention this quickly here one time. If you double click on this file, it does not work the same way. I get this question a million times. I've answered it so many times. What happens is when you compress your folder on a Windows machine, it allows you to open up that compressed folder and actually look at the HTML, because HTML does not get compressed. The image does. So what happens is everybody says, well, I want to double check this file that I've created. So I'm going to double click on it and I'm going to open it up. Well, the image does not display because the image is compressed. If you are on a Windows machine, you have to extract all files. So when you do open up a zipped file on a Windows machine, you don't just double click it. Usually you have to look for an option that says extract all files or unpackage or unzip. But the point is you have to go through that unpackaging step or else you won't be able to see your image. And this is, for example, if you want to double check your work before you turn it into me. So I should mention that, I'm not demonstrating it here, but if you are on a PC and you're struggling with the zip programs, let me know. I typed in zip files Windows here in Google. One thing I just remembered is that a lot of Windows versions, when you right click on the folder itself, you should see an option that says send to, and then you'll choose compressed zipped folder. And if you try that, so you right click on the folder, you look for send to compressed zipped folder. If you don't have that, then you're going to have to look around for a program or download one from the Windows site, see what's available to you, or contact me and I can help you out. One program I'll mention that I would want you to stay away from is 7-Zip. I think it's called 7-Zip because I can't open those files without going into Windows, running Windows on my Mac, so I try to stay away from that one. But WinZip is the one that a lot of people have. You don't have to buy one. You shouldn't have to buy one. You should already have it. But that's something I go into it here because it tends to cause a lot of problems in these classes for some reason. Just getting it to work correctly. On a Macintosh, no problems. It's just pretty easy to create the files, but on Windows you can run into problems. The other thing I'll mention one more time, make sure that you are compressing the folder and not a file. That's another thing that if you're new to this, it's easy to do. You think, well, I need to get these files packaged up. So you might actually go in there and start creating the zip files from the files itself. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you are creating it from a folder, not a file. That's the purpose of a zip file, is so that you can combine all these files into one, and you can downsize it so that it's easier for you to transfer. So that's all I can think of here for this movie. There's a lot of little things in here. I know it's kind of long, but once you get used to it, you try it for this first basic project, try to optimize an image, resize it, make sure you can create the zip file from your folder, then you'll be in good shape. That's what we're going to use for the remainder of the semester for you to turn in your sites. Alright, that's it for this video.